welcome back to another episode of Teen Talks. I'm Susan, and this is Rehan. I'm a mom. He's a kid.
Dad? Imagine one day
Anyway,
maybe.
so this one is going to be sort of based on a question that I get all the time. Is my teen, is immersed in their phone. They spend way too much time on it. What do I do? Right? It's huge. It's a big deal for parents, and we know how important the phone is and technology is for our teens. So, since you are almost like we're a teen a few years ago, like two, uh, what's your thought on your phone? How much time do you spend on it? What do you do? What's important? Why is it important?
Yeah,
So important.
it's safe to say that I'm still a kid, definitely. Um, Actually, this is a good exercise for all of us to do right now. I mean, I'm using my phone, so I won't be able to do it personally, but if everyone who's watching, just go to, if you're using like an iPhone or just like an Android, you can go and check your screen time if you have it on.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know, it should be in the settings or something like that. So I know on Apple on iPhone, if you go into your settings and you can go into screen time and check it out, and it measures it out for you and tells you what your average is. And
Oh,
it's an
I didn't
interesting
know that.
metric. It's an interesting metric to go and look at because it gives you a good idea on how much time you're actually spending on your phone. And surprisingly enough, I know a lot of parents who actually do spend over 4 hours on their phone a day, um,
Wow.
which is a lot when you think about it, but it's not a
I
lot when
didn't
you
find it.
it's not a lot when you compare it to what, teens spend on their phone.
Yeah.
Um, because I've seen like daily averages of 8 hours a day, which is literally like a full working day, which is crazy. Um, but
In
here are my
teens, you're saying.
thoughts in teens, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here are my thoughts when it comes to the phone. I think it's an amazing tool. I think that our phones give us access to information through social media, through the internet, through things like that. It's portable. It also gives us connection to other people where we can, you know, call others, message others, keep in touch with how people are doing, what they're doing in their lives and everything. And we can look up information. I mean, there's so much that we can do with our phones. And I think that that leads to a bigger question of, are we using our phones, or are phones using us in some way? Or are we in control of what we're doing when we're on our phones, or are we just, losing ourselves in what we're doing on our phones? And I think that's the bigger idea here. I think that's the bigger concern, if I were to put it that way, because imagine if everyone was to just use their phone in the best way possible, where they're only using it for, to get information or to connect with people and things like that. I mean, it sounds great, right? Like if someone were to come to you and just be like, hey, look, I have this thing that helps you connect with people from all around the world, and you can develop relationships with them. And it also gives you access to all the information in the world, and it can help you out in life. I mean, you'd be like, well, hey, I want that, right?
Yeah.
Um, but then the other side to it is the side where people are losing themselves scrolling through social media or just consuming content that might not necessarily be beneficial to them. And I think that's where the line is. I think there's a fine line right there. And I think that's the biggest thing that we can address today in today's episode, because I think that's the main thing. That's the main concern, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, I grew up without phones, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we had phones, we had to have a cord on it. It had to be in the house,
Yeah.
ding, 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 and you have to dial like this.
Ding, ding,
um,
ding, ding. That's a good sound right there.
so it's we parents, and some of the, we're coming from a different perspective. We're coming
Of
from,
course.
well, I managed my whole life without this phone. But now that I do have one, I mean, I have a phone now, I have a smartphone, and it is pretty darn good. And have you ever gone outside and you, like, I get in the car or I go for a walk and I go, oh no, I forgot my phone. And it's like, what do I do? I
Yeah.
don't know what to do. Um, and it's a real thing, and it's different. Like before, we would have to make arrangements to meet with people. I forgot my phone once when I was supposed to meet somebody in an area, but not specific spots.
Mm,
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know where she is. I gotta find, how am I gonna find her? I don't have my phone.
yeah.
So there are, and being able to look up things that on the spot. And I mean, it's incredibly, like an incredible device.
Mm,
It's so helpful in so many ways. Um, but us parents see our kids using it so much
yeah.
that our concern is they're not spending time just playing, just dreaming, just being outdoors
Mhm.
and doing other things. So like
Yeah.
when you're talking about somebody being on their phone for 8 hours a day,
Mm,
that's your whole day. That's your whole life. And that's time wasted. So I
yeah.
think as parents, we just want to go, how do we
Yeah.
get them off of it? Not so they're not on it constantly, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I think the first step to that is to figure out why. Why why are teens always on their phones? And there are many reasons, and it could be many different things. The first thing is that they might enjoy that virtual reality experience a lot more than their reality, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
What they're experiencing in life, they might be going through something. It could be challenging, and it's a way for them to escape. It's a way for them to enter a new sort of reality where they feel comfortable, they feel safe, and they feel okay. So
Mhm.
that's one way of looking at it. And if we go that path, then we have to start asking other questions, right? Like, how can we help them feel more comfortable in the real world? How can we be there for them to support them so that they do feel, empowered and confident and all that other stuff, right? So
Mhm.
that's one thing. I want to put a pin in that, and then we can go to that later. The other thing is like they're getting like constant dopamine hits, right?
Yep.
Constantly scrolling. I mean, you're seeing something funny and then you're laughing for a bit and then you scroll and the next thing is, another funny thing and then you're laughing again and then you're scrolling and then you see a video that's inspiring, maybe, a clip of someone coming home from the military, and reuniting with their family, and then it's heartwarming, and then you like that picture, and then you go. So they're getting that as well, right? There's
It
that.
happens to me. I mean, it happened. I used to never go on Facebook, but now I kind of have to do it because of our podcast and all that. And I find that I get sucked in and I don't mean to, but
Yeah,
it does because some of the stuff is so entertaining, or all of a sudden I learn something. So there are good things, but how do you limit? I mean, I have to go, oh my gosh, if I look at the clock and go, I've spent an hour scrolling through stuff that didn't really help me. Yeah, it was entertaining and stuff, but I just wasted an hour where I needed to be doing something else. And I
yeah,
don't think I don't think that that comes up for them,
yeah,
for our kiddos. They just think it's just fun. Which,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
that's all right. But how much is too much?
yeah,
So I like your maybe the discussion as a parent. Sometimes we don't ask the questions.
yeah,
And I think asking the question of, tell me about, I know that you're on your phone a lot. What is it you're doing on your phone? What do you like about it?
yeah,
Why is it so compelling?
yeah,
Um, I mean, I like mine too, but I don't spend as
yeah,
much time on it. So I'm just curious.
yeah.
Uh,
And also I'd even go a step further and say, like, to truly understand why or what's going on, like even ask them to show you and to teach you and almost step into that world with them. Let them take you into their world, into this virtual world of theirs on their phone. Because I mean, it's very easy to come across as like, you know, tell me why you're always on your phone. Like as a teenager, that can sound like, a bit aggressive in the sense like, okay, you're judging me, right? I
mhm.
can feel like I'm being judged. Whereas, if you're taking an approach of like I don't know what social media is, like, do you mind explaining it to me? Can you show me?
Mhm.
Show me how it works. What are all these other things, right? Because, I want to learn more. And then you're automatic, you're flipping the script. You're completely doing a 360, well, a 180 actually, not a 360 because I'd be going around. You're doing a 180 and you're instead of, instead of disconnecting with them, you're actually connecting with them. Because
Yeah,
now they're teaching you something. They're showing you
right,
um a part of their life.
right.
And that, I think that could be really powerful as well, like going into it with that mentality, that mindset, that way of doing things, because you know who wouldn't want to understand their teen more, right? As a
Right,
parent especially, I
right.
mean.
And that at this teenage, and when they're teenagers, that's our job is to, no, I mean, you can sit there and you go, don't get off your phone. And it's not
Yeah,
going to work. They're going to do it no matter what. But when you connect and you have the relationship and you start, you treat them as a human being instead of your kid, and come up alongside and have that discussion,
yeah,
and generally interested and wanting to understand and wanting to support,
yeah,
in a positive way, they're going to tend to feel like, okay,
yeah.
mom, mom is interested, or
Yeah, because
dad.
even I remember, like, I'll tell a story really quickly of when I was younger and I would do, like, if ever I was like mischievous or anything, or got in trouble in school or whatever, which didn't happen that often. um um but like there were times where my parents would ground me, and they take away like my iPod at the time, um which was like like a, I'm sure people know what iPod is, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's like an iPhone except without the
it's just
phone part.
music.
Just, yeah, music, but then
Yeah,
there was also like a
input.
touch screen and everything. You can play games on it and everything, and it was pretty cool. But they take that away from me and they'd hide it. And the thing that would do for me is it wouldn't, like, I'd go and find it. Like, I'd go and look for my iPod behind their
Mhm.
back, and I'd take it out of its hiding spot. I'd find out where it is. I'd play on it quickly for a little bit. I'd go on it, whatever, message whoever I wanted to message. Then I'd turn it off, put it back into where it was supposed to be, and then I'd move on,
Yeah,
right?
because
But
our teens are going to do what they want to do,
exactly.
whether
And
we tell
and
them.
telling, yeah,
Yeah,
telling them no is not going to, it's not going to solve anything. It's just going to, in fact, it's actually going to do the opposite. They're going to associate that negative feeling of, you know, punishment, or they're going to associate that negativity with that event, and it's actually just going to turn the whole thing around, and it's not going to be empowering for them. It's not going to help them change in any way or see things differently. It's just going to make it worse, unfortunately. um I think that's a big misconception that many people have. It sounds like the easier way out because it's like an immediate thing where it's like, okay, fine, no phone, for the rest of the day, so I'm taking
yeah,
your phone. Okay, that's dealt with for the rest of the day or for the week or however long you've taken their phone away for. But in the long run, it's doing more harm than good.
yeah,
So
yeah, because you're not changing a habit, because it's
yeah,
basically a habit. A lot of it, to spend so much time on it, is become a habit,
yeah,
right? And like you said, maybe an escape or whatever.
hmm,
And once you make it a bad thing, and you, then they just want to do it more,
yeah.
right? It's like,
And they're
no, I
going to,
can't tell me what to do. I'm going to do it more, you know?
exactly, and they're going to do it behind your back. They're going to hide in their room and close the door because now they know, like, they feel judged, when they're on their phones. If you're constantly
Mhm.
telling them, get off your phone, get off your phone, get off your phone, well, they're no longer going to want to be on their phone around you because they're going to
Yeah,
feel like you're judging them. So
right.
there's this whole, like, teens know exactly what they're doing. There's a reason behind everything, right? And they're very in tune to what other people are feeling or how other people are going to react to what they're doing, which is why, like, I'm saying we because I'm still a kid, but we'll do things in a way that will make us feel okay and do our
Mhm.
best not to, like, ruffle any feathers. So we'll do things in hiding because we think that, it's going to work. Even
Right.
though, looking back at it, I'm pretty sure my parents knew half the stuff I was doing. They knew about it. Maybe not.
Not necessarily.
Maybe I was
I
really
found out
good.
things about my kids now. They tell me because they're older, so they just told me, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
no, that's true. That's true. But
But that's just being a teenager, and that's part of growing up. But
yeah,
yeah, so I think most parents are like, well, what can I do to help them understand what's valuable about being on your phone and what's harmful? Because I think you have so much value. Like, I mean, being able to get in touch with your child,
yeah,
right? Because nowadays, if they don't have a phone and you don't have a phone, you're like, if my kid doesn't answer me, I'm like, uh-oh, something's wrong. Whereas before, when I was growing up, we didn't have any connection with our parents while we were gone. That was
yeah,
it. And parents would either worry or go, oh, well, they'll figure it out, or, but now, as a parent, you're like, where's my kid? What
yeah,
are they okay? Is basically whatever. So there's the
yeah.
good things, but then
Mm-hmm,
there's bad. And having that discussion
mm-hmm.
about when it's leading you towards what you want, or when it's pulling you away from what you want.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And like I think the big thing here is, again, it's not to tell them like this is good, this is bad. It's to help them figure it out. But you can introduce like concepts like introducing the thing of setting an intention. What is your intention, when you're going on your phone? Because, sometimes like we're looking for a bit of information. So we'll go on Google and, we'll search it up on our phone to get the answer. We had an intention, we've gone on our phone, then all of a sudden we get a notification, and then we go there, then we start, going on social media, and then all of a sudden we're all over the place, and then our attention is wavered and it's just gone. We're done.
Happens to me.
So we get distracted, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like being able to use our phones with an intention, and that intention can be to just like seek out entertainment. It could be like, I'm just going to scroll on social media for 10 minutes, right? But being able to be really intentional with it and be like, okay, I'm going to spend this time doing this,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm going to go on my phone to do this. It changes things because it's not mindless anymore. It's
Right.
not that the device has control over you. You have control over the device. Like you're using the device,
Mm-hmm.
sorry. But that being said, for the time being, I want to say, because obviously, everyone is just scrolling through. Everyone's just like on social media, especially because I think that's the biggest one of the biggest concerns, at least when it comes to phones. I mean, there's like the whole gaming side of it and the amount of time that they
Right.
spend, but social media is one of the biggest things, because whether that's comparing, themselves to
Big
others, whether
comparison.
that's,
Yeah.
there's all this stuff, like there's so many layers to it. But with social media and like TikTok and Instagram and places like that, where there's a lot of information coming their way, um, the biggest thing is, what is that information? Like what are they consuming? What content are they consuming? Because keep in mind, like, you are their parents, which means that you are their primary influence. However, social media has become another one of their primary influences. That's just the reality of things.
So that's why so many goals of so many teens now is I want to be an
An
influencer.
influencer, an
But
influencer or a
what is an
streamer.
influencer, right? I mean, are there's good influencers and there's bad influencers. So,
Yeah.
you
And
know, and is it real?
that's the thing though. It is.
But
It
it
is
is
real.
real, but is what they're seeing on their reel? No,
No, yes,
oftentimes not.
it's not the 100% truth. It is a
Mhm.
fraction, right? They're always seeing a fraction on social media. You're always seeing a sliver, right? You're seeing 30 seconds or a minute of someone's day, right? You're seeing a picture of someone's life, and then you're
That's
associating
been
that with who
intentionally
they
set
are.
up. That's been
Exactly.
intentionally set up, and that's what the kids need to understand. And this would be a good conversation to have with your
Mm-hmm.
team. So what influencers are you seeing? Talk to them about it. Say, let's look at them. Let's see what they're doing. Okay, is that message a good message for you? Is it making you better?
Yeah.
Or is that message making you feel like, oh, I'm missing out, or I'm not good enough, or look, they look so perfect and I'm not,
Hmm.
or that kind of stuff? That would be a really great discussion to have with your teen. Actually sit down. Who do you follow?
Yeah.
Let's look at them. What do you think?
Yeah. And again, this has to happen after you've established trust with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, if you sit down with them right now and you're like, okay, show me who you're following, they're gonna be like, no,
No way.
you're not
Yeah.
touching my phone, right? But
Yeah.
if in the beginning you're like very open about it, you're like, hey, I want to learn about social media. Can you teach me? And then they start teaching you, and it's like, okay, who are some of the people you follow, so I can follow them too. I can't. There are ways of doing it where you're meeting them at their level,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're not
Yeah.
coming from where you're coming from, and looking at them where they are and saying, because that's like a clash. That's two people butting heads. You really want to meet them at their level and just connect with them that way and be like, look, I want to learn. I want to experience what you're experiencing. I want to see this stuff too, right? And you never know. I mean, maybe your teen is experiencing a lot more positive experiences than you think on social
Mm-hmm.
media. You don't know,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But the only way to know is by being open with them so that they can be open with you. Um,
Right.
so I think that's super important, and it'll always go back to how you communicate with them, right? How,
It always goes back to
yeah,
communication, relationship, and connection that you have with your
always,
child. And it's
always.
remember, I know I've said it a million times on our podcast, but you are not up here and they're here. You've
Yeah,
got to meet here.
yeah.
You've got to meet here and form a relationship, trust, and connection before
Mm-hmm.
they're ever going to open up to you,
Yeah,
right? That's
yeah.
first
And
in
in fact,
everything.
in everything, and in fact, in this whole phone technology, social media game, they most likely know more than you.
Oh, yeah, probably. Of course.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. I'm constantly going, can you show me how to do this? Can you show me how to
exactly.
do
So let them teach you.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the way that's the way it's going to work. Let them be the ones to show you and introduce you to these new things and to this new world that maybe you don't understand as much, so that you can understand it better and
Mm-hmm.
then help them with the stuff that from your experience and how life is and what you want for them, what you
Mm-hmm.
understand when it comes to life. Then you're going to be able to actually help them and contribute to a healthier way of using their phones, a healthier way of using social media,
Yeah.
right? Because it's not something that you want to stop them from doing, because that's not the
Not
way the
gonna
world
happen.
is. The world is evolving into this. This is the reality. This is the world that we live in. It revolves around social media. Our lives, Susan, if you think about it too, this what we're doing right now. You're on some sort of platform, social media right now, watching this or listening
Yeah,
to this podcast.
exactly.
That's where the world is,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're not
And
listening to this on the radio. You're not
and
reading a
those who are
newspaper.
and those who are listening to us are getting such valuable information. Right?
Exactly. So just, yeah, that's the way the world is going. And either like it's one of those things where it's almost, you have to be brutally honest and just say, okay, either you accept it and you move on, like you understand it and you move with it, or you'll get left behind,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if you want to connect with your teen when it comes to this stuff and help them out, you have to ride that wave with them. You
Yeah,
cannot just let that wave pass you by.
yeah. Good insight.
That's
I think
that's the
great insight
reality.
for parents to understand, because what I've been seeing on doing from parents is they're just so frustrated, and sometimes frustration is going, you can't get mad, you can't punish. The best thing to do is connect and then understand, and that's where you're going to be able to have some influence
Yeah.
over the choices they make. Now,
Hmm.
you mentioned in the beginning, you were talking about the time that they spend.
Yeah.
um I think we should maybe discuss, like, what are some time how can we reduce the time without being combative or confrontive? Just reduce the time. Some ideas we could have for parents right now of getting their teen to understand that they're wasting so much time.
Yeah. I think, yeah, so I think the first thing would be like to look at their screen time, and so that they can actually see how much time they are spending on their phone. Because if it is something like 8, 9, 10 hours a day, you can easily put that into perspective for them, right? Like
Yeah.
you say, okay, if you're sleeping 8 hours, right? Um, that gives you 16 hours, if I'm not mistaken, right? That's pretty good math, wasn't it, Susan?
Yep.
Um, it gives you 16 hours where you're awake. And if they're going to school, right, that's another 8 hours. So then that means that when they're not in school and when they're not sleeping, they're on their phones,
Hmm.
which is crazy,
Yeah.
right? If you put it
Yeah.
into perspective like that, then already they're going to be a bit more aware. They're going to be like, okay, yeah, there is something wrong there. That's right.
Mhm.
I recognize that, okay, there might be something there. That's the first thing, right? And then from there is you have to give them like some sort of a reason why, I would say. And one thing that I know works for me really well is games. I mean, I've always gamified my life because it just makes it more fun for me.
Mhm.
And I know that a lot of teenagers like that as well. They like it when there's incentive, there's a game. And this becomes their why. Like, what is the reason for them to reduce their screen time, right? And they have to understand that. And it could come from you where you tell them, look, if you reduce your screen time in the next month, from 8 hours to 6 hours, then I don't know, maybe you'll get them a gift or you'll take them somewhere or whatever it is, maybe something that they love doing. You'll take them to the movies. I don't know, whatever it is, right? Or you'll make their favorite meal. It could be anything.
Mhm.
But give them that why, right? And that why could also be something else. It could be a way of you just sharing a message with them and telling them like the impact that it's going to have on their life long term. If you're able to communicate that with them in a really powerful way that helps them and doesn't bring them down in any way, that's another way to go about it too. But just figure out that why.
Well, and I think have them notice, find their why as well. It's like
Yeah.
if you do this little game and you make it somehow like, all right, let's see how low we can get our time
Yeah.
on their phone. And you do it with them, just go, okay, I do this much. Look at
Mm,
mine. Oh, okay, I spend this much time. I'm gonna
yeah.
let's do a game. Let's see if we can reduce our time by 2 hours a day or
Yeah.
whatever's relative to whatever the time they are on, because not everybody's 8 hours.
Mm,
And then come back and go, all right, what did you do with the time that you had when you weren't on it? Was it
mm,
productive? Was it fun? Did you experience things you haven't experienced in a while? Or, you know, new things? Your world is, did you notice things around you? That kind of stuff. And
yeah.
and go, was it great? Really, really like talk about what it did for their world,
Mm,
what it did for their life to have that extra 2 hours back.
yeah. Yeah, I
You
love
know,
that. That's so
because you
true.
can't tell them, but
Yeah.
if they can figure that out themselves by doing this little game, this experiment,
Hmm.
game changer.
Huge, huge game changer.
Because I guarantee they will
Literally,
figure out something really fun to do, or they will
yeah,
do something. Yeah.
yeah.
So, all
And
right.
then it just becomes a thing of like, okay, how do you execute that, right? Like what do you do now? What are other things that you can do in your life instead of being on your phone, right? Are there things that you've been putting off, right? And these are all questions that you can try and get them to answer once again. It's like, maybe they're procrastinating, so that's why they're on their phone. Maybe they
Yeah.
should be studying or doing homework or doing something else, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
but instead they're on their phone. So just, and it's now that I'm thinking about it, it's actually the ABC formula, right? Where it's the awareness, the belief, which is the why, and then C, which is control, which is now like the steps.
Yeah.
What is it that you can do? And it's exactly that. You just follow those 3 steps. You get self-aware on how much time you're actually spending on your phone, if that's healthy or if it's unhealthy. They get to make that choice. They get to make that
Yeah.
decision,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then you figure out the why, right? You help them figure out the why. Why is it important to reduce the time? And why should I reduce the time that I'm spending on my phone? What are the other things that I could be experiencing? And
Yeah.
then C is control. It's like, okay, then what are the steps to take? What do we do? What are some other things that I can do? And you just go from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I just popped in my head of a reward. If you were to play the game, you could say something like, okay, in this week, you and I will add up how much time we were how much time we were off, and let's go do something together that you want to do with that amount of time. So like, let's say you reduced your time by an hour a day for the last 7 days.
Yeah.
That's 7 hours of you. And then I did the same. That's 14 hours. Let's go do something for a full day together that you want to do. That would be really fun. And you're connecting it to, they earned it almost, like, this is fun. That's just an idea.
Yeah, that's really good. That's a really good idea. That's good incentive. I thought you were gonna say like add all the hours together and then give them the money. And I was gonna tell you, are you bribing them, Susan?
No. Money. No, I've never paid my kids for grades or anything like that. That's a whole other topic. But the experience, life is experience. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And if that reward is with you, that's special time with you together, doing something that they choose, not you. They choose whatever it is and be involved. Or you can even say, go do it with a friend or bring a friend and we'll do it all together, whatever. So, your time with your teen is so short. So take advantage of it and make it the best possible connection and relationship you can, because once mine are gone now, mine are out of the home and I miss them terribly. And it'll never happen again the same way. So okay. Well, thanks for sticking with us. I hope we helped. I found it a very interesting conversation myself. And I'm going to be on my phone a little less. And that's the other thing is model it.
Oh yeah.
On your phone the whole time and look at them on their phone. But you need to model it as well.
Yeah. Makes me think of my mom. My mom's the funniest because she'd always tell me don't be too close to your screen. And she might actually not be happy with me saying this, but when she's on her phone, because she has glasses, so her glasses I think help her see far. When she sees close, her eyes are fine. So what she does is she lowers her glasses and then she looks at her phone like this, and she holds the screen so close, so
she can't see.
So yeah.
By the way,
funny.
when you get older, your vision goes down. That's, I have contacts, and then when I really need to see, it's this.
But yeah, shout out to my mom. Love you.
Mom's saying that because she doesn't want your eyes to get worse.
I know. Yeah, I know. She does it out of love, and I appreciate that. I love you, Mom. If you're watching this.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. And if you have a question, please put it in the comments or email me or DM Rehan, or hello at TEENTALKS. What is it?
Gmail. Hello TEENTALKS at gmail.com.
TEENTALKS at gmail.com is a way to connect with us. Please please subscribe, please comment. It helps us to get more people to see us. It changes the algorithm, I guess. It's technology. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it does. It changes the algorithm. It pushes the videos to more people, and our ultimate goal is just to help as many people as possible. So if you can help us with that as well, then that's awesome. So yeah, feel free to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and just stay tuned. Yeah, and we'll see you.
If you really like this and you have friends that are struggling with their kids and their phones, share this with them.
Share it.
Give them some ideas. So until next time, love on your kids, connect, have relationship. Okay, that's what it's all about.
Yes, sir. Bye.